Welcome to the NAERLS Farming Smart Channel, your gateway to modern profitable farming practices. I am Fatima Zare Idris, and today we are diving into a game changer for farmers, carbon credits. Did you know that by planting trees and using smart farming practices, you can protect the environment and earn money? Sounds interesting, right? Stay with me as we speak with experts who will break it all down for you. How you can turn sustainable farming into a profitable opportunity. Together with me in the studio today is Mr. Olawale, a sustainability manager from Thrive Agric. Mr. Olawale manages climate smart related projects for Thrive Agric. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
And we also have Mr. Abdulshakur Mahmood from the Agra NAERLS Kaduna Agroforestry Project. You're welcome to our studio, sir.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here also.
Over to you, Mr. Olawale. What is carbon credits and how do they relate to farming?
Thank you so much. Let me start by giving a concept to what carbon is. Carbon is an important element that is part of every living organism, and that covers from human being up to plant, and even is very important even for soil structure. And that is why some soil scientists describe soil as a living entity also. So what is now carbon credit? So carbon credit is a tradable permit that both businesses and individuals can use to offset their carbon footprints in the carbon market. And how is it related to farming? So in agriculture, there are practices that encourages release and capturing of carbon from the atmosphere. So this is how carbon credit is related to farming. Thank you.
So also, how important is carbon credit in combating climate change?
Okay, so this is also a very interesting question, and I love it so much. So how is carbon credit important in combating climate change? You know, every individual loves to hear something that sounds like incentive, and carbon credit is like an additional incentive to farmers that practices regenerative agriculture. So in addition to farmers having yield from their farms, when they practice some certain farming systems, the credits that is generated in the form of carbon removal units can now be converted to extra income for these farmers.
Okay. So also, how is this credit generated?
Yes, it is very simple. First, farmers have to get engaged in some farming systems that can help to, store or capture carbon from the atmosphere, and this captured carbon can now be calculated in the form of carbon removal units. So when this is done, then there are accredited brokers that are licensed to sell these removal units in the carbon market as carbon credits, which can now be credited to farmers.
Okay, so also, which farming practices can generate carbon credits?
Okay, so as we know, there are conventional farming systems, and then in recent times we have been speaking about regenerative practices, sustainable practices. So these sustainable and regenerative practices are some of the practices that can help to generate carbon credits, and some of them includes agroforestry. It happens to be on the top of the list, and then there are also other farming systems like mixed cropping, like cover cropping, like the use of organic fertilizers and soil amendments like biochar, compost, and so on.
Okay, so coming back to our state, Kaduna State, how can you say that these farmers in Kaduna State benefit from carbon credits?
Okay, so that is exciting. Just like we have been discussing from the onset of this program, I think the first thing that our farmers in Kaduna State needs to do is to get informed. Is there any information out there that give farmers enough knowledge about what carbon credit is? And once that is done, then they can now be informed on what to do. And what to do is just to change from their conventional practices and adopting sustainable agricultural practices. And once that is now done, they can now be properly registered or onboarded by brokers, just like I said, like Thrive Agric. And then once that is done, then they can have access to these credits.
Mr. Abdulshakur, how can farmers in the Agra Kaduna Consortium earn while protecting the environment?
Thank you very much, Fatima Zara, for the question. In the Agri-Kaduna Consortium Agroforestry project, we are working to integrate economic trees and also indigenous trees into the agroforestry system. So among the tree crops we are working on in the economic trees, we have the oranges, mangoes, among others. So from these, farmers will be able to generate income through sale of those fruits. In terms of, let's say, cashew, you can generate from the fruit itself and also from the nuts and kernels. And in terms of the indigenous trees such as gao, mahogany, among others, you can generate from selling of timber, even usage of the leaves for medicinal purposes. I think then as well as carbon credit, as said from Mr. Olawale earlier, and that is why we are collaborating with Thrive Agri so that farmers will be able to earn from these carbon credits.
So what are the practical steps farmers should take to start earning carbon credits?
Okay, to answer this question is very simple and is rather similar to the preceding question. So I think the first thing that needs to be done by the farmer as a practical step is to get trained, to get informed, to get knowledge. What is carbon credit? Up to now, it's still like a myth to a lot of people, even the learned, and much more the smallholder farmers. So once farmers first get enough knowledge on what the credit is, then the next step now is for them to now start practicing some of the sustainable agricultural practices that can make them to be a qualified candidate to be enrolled in carbon credit programs. And after this, they need to get themselves involved or identify licensed carbon credit brokers like Thrive Agri, who is a local partner in Nigeria. I think we are the first in Nigeria right now. And once that is done, then farmers can have access to credits. They can properly profiled, and then they can start selling credits.
How is the AGRA NAERLS Kaduna Agroforestry Project promoting tree planting and agroforestry?
As I said earlier, the agroforestry project by Agri-Kaduna Consortium focuses on integrating tree crops into crop farming systems, smallholder